Okay, guys. We are live. We're live. It's Old Man G here, back again with some company. I'm with fellow Manchester United fans. It's good to be a Manchester United fan right now. So you know what I thought would be a good idea to bring back the 100% Manchester United podcast. So I'm hoping to do this maybe once every month or so, something where we can really just talk about all things Manchester United. There are so many things to discuss right now. Like it is just there's just a lot of things to talk about. And these guys are great. They're fellow United fans who've got fan channels. I put the links in the description. Please check them all out. I'm going to just get everyone to just generally introduce themselves, because a lot of new faces for people who obviously have been watching this channel for quite some time. Remember to like, obviously, the vid, share, and get as many people involved as possible. We want to see your questions, we want to get you involved. It's important. But yeah, we'll just do a general introduction, and then we're going to get into a lot of Manchester United banter. So I'll start with, so if everyone just unmutes their mic, just introduce yourselves to the folk.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start things off going around in this little thing we got set up here. So my name is Dev, and I operate a small new YouTube channel called The Full Time Podcast. And like many of us, it's just a good place for me to just talk about all things football. I also include a few football player compilations, a few opinion pieces, some collabs, match reviews, and even a football manager series as well. So just everything that I've always done kind of by myself and I'll put on YouTube for the rest of the world. But yep, diehard Man United fan, like I said, and right now there's no real better time to be one. So yeah, happy to be here as well.
Hi, my name's Sam. I started my channel literally a week ago. It's Sam United TV. And like everyone else here, just a United fan, and just I talk about football non-stop. Texting my friends or my girlfriend, she's fed up of it. So yeah, So I thought, why not see if the internet just gets fed up of it? So yeah, that's me really, just Sam United TV.
Hi, I'm Richard. I started my sports channel called Rich Sports last month to fill the gap because there was no sports. So I started making videos about football and other sports to try and fill the gap, and hopefully meet up with other Man United fans that in this sort of environment to discuss what's going on.
Yeah, I'm Meeks from Meeks Sports, as the name says at the bottom. I've had a fan channel for a couple of years. It's not strictly a Man United fan, even though Man United fan channel, could I say, even though I am. But we generally cover all Premier League as well as other sports such as Formula One, boxing, and tennis, whatever is top of the agenda. But obviously at the moment, football is back. There's me and another Arsenal fan, Ramsey, who generally do our match previews and reviews on that channel.
Hi, I'm Tez. Unlike my colleagues here, I don't have a show yet or a channel. Working on it, but got the invite to come and talk about Man United, and as I said before, it's a good time to talk about United. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, everyone, I'm Tom. I'm a United fan. I've been on a couple of Old Man Cheese's European podcasts and recorded some videos with him lately. Same thing as Tez. I don't actually have a channel at the moment, but I'm currently working on getting one set up and everything. And yeah, passionate United fan, and always like to come onto the show and give my opinion and hear other people's opinions.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that's everyone's introductions. And please, guys, for those who will be watching, remember to like and share the vid, and make sure that you check these guys' channels. Guys, like really, really important that we all support each other. So the links to their channel should be in the description. Please click on the link, head over there, and subscribe. And like, there's hundreds of millions. We're the biggest club in the world, so like we should easily be getting like multiple thousands of subscribers on this channel. So please go down and support them. So without further ado, let's just get into it. I just want to talk Manchester United right now, because I don't know about you guys. I am a Manchester United fan. I really, really am. First things first here, Villa versus United. I got a lot of stick from rival fans because apparently we fought the referee. It wasn't a penalty. We are losers. But I'll start like from the top. Like How good was that win? How do you guys feel about it? Should we start from like the top and then go like around?
Yeah, I guess I'll start things off. I don't know about you guys, but when the game sort of started off, I was a bit, very nervous. I thought we looked a little slow coming out the gates, but then we sort of just came into our own. And really, when I don't think a few of the lads had a bit of an off day compared to some of the other games that they've played. They just looked a little bit slower, a little bit less than 50-50 challenges. But ultimately, the quality that we have in the squad just shone through. And to still be Premier League strugglers who have something to play for and to be, the only team in Premier League history now to go through 4 successive games with a 3-goal margin or more as a win you can't take that away from us. And we'll talk about the penalty and all that as much. Like, I don't actually think it was a penalty, but we're getting in those positions, we're threatening in the areas, we're attracting those fouls, and that's why we get penalties. It's not to do with VAR. I mean, to come away 3-0 against Villa sets us up really nicely for the latest run in, and we needed to do it after Leicester and Chelsea dropped points. So we are in a very good position right now. So it's, all smiles for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the most pleasing thing was the fact that we didn't really play that well, but we still won 3-0. Especially after the first goal. I think after the penalty, I was a bit surprised and frustrated that we didn't push on after that. It didn't seem like we really pushed on until the second half. Obviously, the Greenwood goal was just, he's class, and he's got a rocket of a right foot, let alone the left foot. So, but I was disappointed in the first half, really, how we didn't, after that first goal, I thought we'd just go on and dominate the game, but I don't think that happened really until the second half, because when we scored the goal from Greenwood, that just killed Villa. They were done after that. Their hopes were gone, and we managed to just control the game. Pogba playing deep was fantastic. He basically controlled the second half, and after that it was fairly easy. And it was good to see Ole be able to rest a few players as well. Give Matic a rest, Martial, even though he was fuming. But yeah, so all in all, I mean, this reminded me of one of the Fergie games, where you'd go to a team, you didn't play that well, but you'd win 2 or 3-0. So I think that, for me, that's the most pleasing thing of it.
Yeah, I think from that game, that the first 20 minutes, I was watching it thinking, I think Villa are going to score, because we looked quite casual in possession, almost like we thought we're going to win without actually playing as well as we have done in the previous few games. We did have a couple of chances, they just didn't take them. I thought the penalty, we got pretty lucky. When I was watching it, it was one of those 50-50 things where you didn't think it necessarily was a foul either way. And I'm not sure what you think about VAR, but I'm not really sure what guidance they've been. They just want to.
The thing is, not to interrupt you, Richard, but like a lot of people were slating VAR, but the thing is, the referee actually gave the penalty before VAR were involved. Yeah. So if there was no VAR, we still would have got the penalty.
But what I was thinking was that. What I was thinking is, have they been maybe given guidance to try not to overrule the referee unless it's 100% blatant, because otherwise maybe the referee's position would be undermined slightly with everything. So I've seen it in other sports where if it's clear and obvious, as the phrase they're using, or was a completely bad decision they've overturned for it, that's it's a bit subjective, so they better go. Like said earlier, when Greenwood scored that goal, I think Villa just thought, okay, let's just save ourselves for the next game, because I don't think they had the fight. And you can see why. If they'd have gone for it, I think we'd have probably just racked it up. It wasn't really that competitive in the second half. But that's also the thing that I'm watching Man United now, for the first time in years, thinking we're going to score 2, 3, 4 goals. Whereas in the Bournemouth game, when Bournemouth took the lead, I was thinking, now we're going to get angry. Now we're going to really tear you apart. Whereas maybe a year ago, I'd be thinking, oh no, we'll be lucky to get a 1-1. So I think my expectation has changed as a fan, and I'm enjoying. Even went behind. I'm enjoying the way we're playing. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. The fact Martial was furious to be taken off is a great sign. I think you just want to be on the pitch. Pogba's smiling. What more can you say?
exactly.
Yeah, I think the first guy said it feels like when you got all the people talking about, or, you know, or when we're on social media, whether it was a penalty, whether we cheat, we bought the ref, blah blah blah. This is a throwback because that's how it used to be. Everyone was saying that Fergie bought the ref, you know, Man United cheating, blah blah. So it's like I'm looking at it like, oh, this is the good old days. I know we ain't where we need to get, but it seems like we're getting close to the good old days because if the rival fans ain't telling us that we're cheating, we're buying the rest, we're doing something wrong. Because they're only going to say that when we're winning. And that's the reality. We are winning. We're 17 games unbeaten. And they're trying to find fault with everything. I saw Goal put a tweet out today about what they call Fernandes. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes scoring 3 penalties out of 13 goal contributions he's actually made. And it's like people are trying to find a fault. You know, we've got a blistering front line that's working and clicking. And people are like, oh, well, as soon as if Sancho comes in, Rashford's going to be out. Well, you know what? I just want the best 3 at Man United, innit? So if one of them have to be on the bench, so be it. Like, for me, this is a brilliant time to be a Man United fan, as long as we continue. And as someone said already, like I was nervous going into the Aston Villa game. I'm not gonna lie, I've been nervous going into all the games since the lockdown because we actually need to win every game between now and the end of the season. The pressure is there for every game. It's a cup final. I think it might be Mason Greenwood or one of them said in a recent interview. Every game is like a cup final. If we lose one of those games, now it's a bit iffy because Leicester's dropped much more points than I expected. Chelsea dropped points to West Ham. I didn't expect either. But really and truly, we need to go into every game thinking that if we drop points, we're not going to get in the top 4. So every game is a final. I'm nervous until we get that first goal, and then I'm like, all right, we need the second goal. And then when we get the second, I'm like, all right, we need to kill the game. So I'm not really comfortable until we're 3-0 up. Luckily, we've got the strikers that's doing it. So yeah, right now it's good to be a United fan. But as someone else said as well, I think in terms of the Villa game, I didn't feel like we were complacent. I thought the Bournemouth game we were definitely complacent. I thought we went into that game like we're going to beat Bournemouth. And I think that's how they caught us. They caught us a number of times. Really until we got the 4th goal, that's when the game was really, really dead. The Villa game, I just think we played bad. I think, I don't know what the reason was, but I think we just played bad. We were passing, in the first half anyway, we were passing back when really should going forward. People were dribbling out with the ball, you know, Matic and Pogba caught on the ball a few times in our own half. And we were fortunate to take the lead when we did in the circumstances and considering the balance of play. But once we got the lead, I was confident that, yeah, I think we'll go on and win because Villa struggled to score goals at the best of times. And they had enough chances to score before we took the lead. So I'm like, well, they ain't scoring now. And when Mason scored the second, I was like, well, it's game over because they can barely score 1, let alone 2. And yeah, we'll get on to Mason. But
yeah, we will.
It was a good win.
Yeah, I'm the same. I was a bit nervous coming into the game. I don't think we started off very well. Actually thought, oh, here we go. At one point, Grealish had a half chance, I should say, on the volley. But then we got into it. We got the penalty, whether we bought the referee or it was lucky or if it wasn't a penalty, it doesn't matter. It happened. Got the penalty. Mason got the goal just before half time. I think the clean sheet was very important for the defenders and for De Gea. The only little niggle I could pick out is we had Villa on the ropes and we don't seem to annihilate teams when we got them on the ropes. We just seem to like pass around for the fun of it, which I'd like to see us go out and score 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Man City. I know it's a nasty word around us, but they do it. They don't score 3 and then stop. They carry on as if it's 0-0. I'd like to see United do that.
Do you think that's for the want of trying? Because Martial hit the crossbar, Rashford had a chance late in the game, Wan-Bissaka with a header. Even in the Bournemouth game, you know, Fred had a chance from outside the box, and there was another chance as well where we could have scored. So I want to see us win by 4 or 5, because our goal difference is behind Leicester. But I think they're trying.
I do think we just we take our foot off the gas a little bit. There was times where he could have passed forward. Bruno got the ball. He could have passed forward. He went back. You know, in the 20th minute, he would have looked for the the impossible ball to Rashford or whatever.
True.
But because we were 3-0 up, he went back to Maguire. I'd just like to see us, put him to bed, dig him back up and put him to bed again. But that's just me.
In a good place when we're like, if we could just score more goals, so then we'll be the heyday for days and the Van Gaal days of like, we'll score one goal and then mark the coach, and then that's fine, So this is really good. This is really, really good. Tom, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think pretty much similar to most of the people said here and everything, With Aston Villa coming to the game, I thought, it was a banana skin that, some teams can easily. But obviously we didn't. Obviously we've got players that can hurt you in Grealish and that. But when you can contain players of that quality, these teams struggle against. And I think we nullified them to an extent. We did give away a couple of free kicks which tested our back post, and obviously Villa had chances. Was such as one of the balls that got pinged right to the back post, and Wan-Bissaka luckily got away with it, with Grealish not being able to hit the target. But it's these sort of situations that can easily just change a game. Go 1-0 down, and then it might be a different game altogether. But I think we showed that togetherness and showed that team spirit really. As soon as we got that first goal, we could easily just push on in the second half. And obviously getting the second goal just before half time pretty much killed the game off. I didn't really see much threat from Villa. And obviously you've got your star performers in there, Grealish. I know I give my Grealish. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Greenwood. And
maybe next
Pogba
year.
For me was maybe next year, you never know. But Pogba for me was sublime yesterday, the goal. It was just straight off of the training ground. You could easily see that, play the ball in an area where defenders didn't pick up a big player in Pogba, just off the edge of the box and just placed it in the box. It's not like he went for power, he just passed it into the corner. It was just straight off the training ground. It's these things that I'm liking. I'm seeing that the positives of obviously Manchester United at the moment, and I think Ollie's getting it right in terms of most things, really. He's getting it right on the training ground because we're seeing that on the field. He's getting the right attitude out of the players, and obviously he's brought in the right players. I don't really see any of the players that he's brought in that haven't made a good impact, really. And obviously the fruits are obviously going to be later down the line with us in terms of winning trophies and stuff, because I can see it. But in terms of the game and everything, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and obviously it's a case of move on to the next one, and that's not exactly an easy one in Southampton, flying at the moment. And they've got one man up front who's obviously got to be nullified in Danny Ings, who's on an absolute scoring chart at the moment. I think if we nullify him, we can move on. And the thing that you got to think of as well is there's only 4 games left to go, and we're 1 point behind Leicester and 2 points behind Chelsea. So it's all to play for in terms of the top 4. And on Monday we obviously hear about Man City's ban. So yeah, in terms of the future, I think it's looking really bright with some of the players that we've got in there, and we're getting linked with bringing in.
Cool. Before we move on, just so John Wagner is like a regular listener, actually sort of says, I personally don't rate McTominay. He doesn't even live up to Darren Fletcher's utility levels. How will Fred in this team moving forward? Just open it up, guys. Are there some McTominay fans here, or Fred, or because they are?
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I think I rate McTominay. I do. Does he live up to Darren Fletcher utility levels? I mean, if Darren Fletcher was coming into a Man United team of this level and McTominay was back then, we'll be saying the same thing. Darren Fletcher was a very useful player. Very useful. We missed him in that 2009 final. He shouldn't have been sent off, but anyway. But Darren Fletcher was just that. He was a useful player. There's nothing special about him. And I don't think there's anything special about McTominay. But he is a very useful player. And when you consider the crap that we was actually putting up with in the last 2 years, he's been one of the few players who's come out with, can he hold his head high? Him, Fred in the last few months as well, he's done well. But McTominay over the latter stage of Mourinho and, before, let's say, Bruno, before the lockdown, McTominay was right up there. So the question is, how will Fred be used in the team moving forward? I think McTominay will be used more. Solskjaer's already spoken about him potentially taking over from Matic in a year, maybe a year and a half or so. So I think he's going to be trained to fill in that defensive midfield role. And Fred will be more probably as a utility player going forward, if we're going to be honest. But I like both of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pit one against the other.
With McTominay as well. Yeah, go with McTominay. He cares for United as well. He cares about playing for us, and we haven't had that for quite a while now. We've seen players that come in who don't really care to play for us. So I think he's definitely useful in the squad. He might be a first team player every week eventually in a couple of years, but even if he just stays as a squad member and just as a rotation player, I think I'm happy with him in the squad. I mean, I'm not sure if he's a replacement for Matic. I see him as more of maybe a box to box or sort of just a bit of energy up and down. But like you said, Solskjaer is thinking he can replace Matic, so we'll see.
Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, just on that as well. I think it's because when you get those comparisons with Darren Fletcher, I feel like it's because it's the virtue of him being a central midfield player and being Scottish that he's been linked with Darren Fletcher. When in actual fact, like Darren Fletcher benefits in some ways of being in a very, very outstanding Man United team, holding down a very simple position and doing his position effectively, whereas McTominay has had to come in younger than Fletcher was and have a lot more responsibility than Fletcher did, and having to play those forward passes and do all those technical things that Fletcher didn't ever really have to bother with. And I don't remember times when Fletcher scored really important goals like he did against Chelsea. I think he scored 2 headers against Chelsea, or that's like his come home speech. But McTominay has even scored more goals this season than I can remember Darren Fletcher having. And when we lost Pogba the majority of this season, when, like you said, Mourinho did whatever the hell voodoo type stuff he tried to do when he was at Old Trafford, he needed McTominay himself. So he's a good few years and maybe a few attributes shy of replacing a Matic type, but he's certainly the type of player that we need with his attitude, with his, his try-hardiness and the love he has for United. It always shows through. And that's what we lost in those times under Van Gaal, Mourinho, who brought in big-name players who never brought that. And with Fred, it's unfortunate for him because he came at a time when he was promised to be this big £60 million player, and we played him out of position. So when we played him out of position, we expected him to score and do all this. But then when you put him in a position where he has to tackle, but he's not good at tackling, but you need to make him tackle, but he's not a good tackler, so he's a bad signing. I think he's just been really unfortunate. And under Solskjaer, he's got his box-to-box route. And I think that's where Fred is going to have to be in the few years to come. And he's a good little tricky, technical, busybody in midfield. And I think we miss him when we don't use them against some of the bigger stars. So both of them definitely have a future at United. But it just goes to show what Ole does in the transfer windows to come, which I'm sure we'll probably get on to.
Okay, anyone have any thoughts? Otherwise, we'll move on to the Europa League draw conversation. Oh, I think Don Wagner does have one more question. I'm going to keep that after that because I know you have an agenda against Ole. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that to afterwards. So, Europa League draw. So obviously, for those who are at work or like the Champions League draw, which we're not unfortunately not a part of. Yeah, apparently a part of it. But let's be real. How long are Chelsea going to be in the Champions League for? But the Europa League draw happened, and United. I actually forgot that we started to play the home leg against Lask because the win was so convincing. I just assumed we were already through and that we didn't have to play another game, but we apparently have another game. So when the draw happened, that I think quarterfinal matchup is between Istanbul and
Copenhagen. Isn't it?
Copenhagen. That's it. Compared to some of the other teams that we could have gone, I think that's probably a good draw if that's reasonable. So what are your thoughts on the draw and given the draw United's chances on winning the Europa League?
I mean, I think we got the best draw possible, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to Europa League. It's going to be just a couple of weeks of just football every single day. Obviously, it's the Champions League as well. It's Champions League Europa League the next night, I think. So hopefully we can go into it. We've already secured Champions League, and we can just be, we don't have to stress about having to win it like we did with under Mourinho, because that final was just a sweaty final. The whole, I was nervous that whole time and couldn't enjoy it as much. So hopefully, like I said, we've got top 4, or even top 5 if City are banned. So, but I think we should get through to the semi-final, shouldn't we? Let's be. If we don't, we'll all be very disappointed.
Yeah, I think for me we couldn't have asked for much easier draw for the semis. I think in the semis we could play Wolves, Roma, or Sevilla, most likely. Of course, I hope
or Inter Milan.
Huh?
Or Inter Milan, I think was.
I think Inter might be the final.
Yeah, that's the final.
The draw. So I think it could be Wolves, Olympiacos, Roma, Sevilla. Of course, out of the 4, I want Olympiacos to go through. I'm sick and tired of playing Wolves. Like, it seems like we play them every 3 months. And it ain't easy games. It ain't easy games, I tell you. But yeah, it's not going to be easy to get the final because both Roma and Sevilla are decent teams. And as good as we've been post lockdown, and granted, we've got a very good record in the big games already. Let's see how we do in a big game against a strong European side. But yeah, I'm still confident we'll get to the final. And I would actually love nothing more to beat Inter Milan in the final, because there's some guys over there, not naming no names, Lukaku, Sanchez, who I want to put mud. I like Ashley, but some of them need to get taught a lesson. Actually, Sanchez might not even play. I kind of hope he does play just so we can beat him. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we can win the competition. In all fairness, I think we've got the players. I think we've got the squad. As for the draw, in cup competitions, I'd never really look for the easy team. I used to be a coach myself for under 16s, and we used to get a draw and he used to go, we need to miss this team, we need to miss this team. If you want to win the league, if you want to win the cup, you got to play them teams, you got to beat them. So it doesn't matter whether you play them in their first round, in the final, it doesn't matter. If you're going to beat them, you're going to beat them, and that's how it is for me. But I do think we will get Champions League through finishing top 4, maybe top 3, and I do think we'll do the double with the 2 cups we're in left.
Both the cups. Okay. No, well.
Maybe.
I mean, I might put the FA Cup as a thing for conversation, because that is next Saturday, isn't it?
Next week. Yeah, next week.
Yeah, so maybe that might be worth having a talk about that, because there are a lot of Chelsea fans I'm speaking to who are either angry or scared. I don't really know how they're responding to it.
They must be scared. They must be scared because Solskjaer has beaten them like every game we've played from last season right through to when we played them in, I think maybe February or whatever it was. Like, they can't seem to beat us. But I'm looking at it like, surely there's going to be a point when they do beat us. I just hope it's not the semi-final.
But what's crazy about it is that we've beaten them without like Bruno and Pogba and Greenwood, and those are like our 3 like best players right now. So the fact that we've beaten them without those 3, and then those 3 players are going to be playing, and their team hasn't really changed that much, aside from maybe Pulisic, I think he's starting to play for them.
But yeah, it'd be interesting.
I
would love to get Man City in the final and beat them. I don't want Arsenal in the final. I want Man City.
That would be a good final.
Yeah. Richard, you haven't spoken for a while. Like, what are your thoughts on the Europa League draw?
Well, I think, like the other guys, I was just really happy to avoid Wolves. I know a few Wolves fans, and yeah, I'm sick of watching us play Wolves. They're just quite tough games, and it's nice to play different teams. So I'm quite confident about our chances. I think the FA Cup might actually be a harder competition at the moment for us. But it'd be good to give some of the new signings a chance to win some silverware this early, get them a taste for it. Bruno.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's important actually. When you think about our last great team, which was from 2007 to 2009, them winning the FA Cup 2004, some of them like Ronaldo. Was Rooney there in 2004?
I think it was
we must have been there, isn't it? Yeah. No, he joined after the Euros. Yeah, he
Yeah,
joined.
he joined that summer.
So Ronaldo would have been there because Van Nistelrooy was up front in the final against Millwall. And but then when they won the Carling Cup in 2006, Rooney, Saha, Ronaldo, and I'm sure that was like a catalyst. You know, we need to win more, and they formed a brilliant partnership for us to win the title this season. So yeah, he's right. Getting those players, especially some of the young players who haven't won anything, you know, Matic and Pogba, they've won Premier Leagues and European trophies and World Cups in Pogba's thing. Like the likes of Greenwood,
McTominay, and
Wan-Bissaka.
Maguire, yeah.
Right, it's important.
It's just infectious.
Definitely. Go on.
I just say winning trophies becomes infectious and becomes a routine that you just want. Once you've got one, you want more. And even going back a long time, when I first started supporting United, we got some FA Cup wins, League Cup wins, and that kind of get a winning mentality. So when you finally win the league, then that's it. You just keep winning. Like Roy Keane said, win one, right? Let's get the next one. And see the reward.
Yeah, what I was going to say was I think it would be big for Harry Maguire. There's been a few doubts about his captaincy and his leadership. So if he's able to get a trophy under his belt straight away in his first season, I mean, I don't think there'd be many complaints. So I think it'd be big for him as well. Not just the young players, but obviously his experience as well. But he hasn't been at a big club before. He hasn't had this much pressure on him, especially now being the captain. So I think it'll be a big moment for him as well.
Who do you think, out of all the teams that are left in the Europa League draw, like who do you guys say is the team that you feel like would be Manchester United's strongest team? Whether we meet them in the quarterfinals, semis, or final, who do you think is the strongest team left?
Wolves.
Really?
I think they'll give us the hardest game.
Hate Wolves.
Arsenal beat them though.
You just hate Wolves, isn't it?
In a way, that's what I don't get. Like, it's just if Arsenal,
I think at the moment the Premier League is very deep, very strong. A lot of the top 5-6 teams on their day really tough to beat. Wolves, they can have an off day, but they're a tough team. They can grind out some of the. They got unlucky. Did they hit the bar against Arsenal? Or there was one game
one. I think.
They're out of nothing. Sometimes they can just score a wonder goal. They've got too much quality.
I've got to give that to Inter Milan. I know it's an easier choice out of the rest, but the only reason I'd say that is just because it's Conte's Inter Milan. It's sort of a rejuvenated Inter Milan. So if you'd asked me this question a year or two ago, I wouldn't be scared of Inter Milan or any of the Milan clubs. To be honest, I wouldn't be scared of any Italian club but Juventus. But the whole of Serie A has had a cataclysmic shift into the power of Milan recently, where they look to try and build on some sort of block that they've got there. And I'm not saying that their type of play or anything is directly going to threaten us too badly, but the type of players that they have are always the ones that just sneak up and can cause us issues when we might not want them to. Lukaku caused us many issues before we signed him and caused us a fair few when we did bloody sign him. But to have like that physical presence against Maguire and against Lindelof, they've proven sometimes a bit shaky when they're against them. And if we have to play any leg at the San Siro, where some of these young kids is probably going to be their first time going to Italy, let alone playing in the Europa League semi-final, it's going to be tough. So Sevilla are probably the underdogs. I think they're underrated as far as La Liga is concerned. But when it comes to the overall team, I think Inter's got one of the best keepers in the world in Handanovic. They've got a very strong defence, a very experienced defence, and their midfield is probably where the game can be won or lost. But with Lukaku and like the other kind of substitute players that they've got, they'd probably cause a few issues. And I don't see us winning at San Siro if we play them at the San Siro.
Remember, all the UEFA competitions are in one country. So the European League in Germany.
Everything's in Germany, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Champions League is all in Portugal. And it's straight knockout. There's no legs. So after this round, it's just one quarterfinal, one semi-final, one final. And I don't even disagree with you. Logically, Inter Milan should be the toughest. But if you look at their form since the lockdown, they have fallen away pretty badly. I haven't watched their game, so it's hard to say exactly why. You had to choose.
Bologna 2-1 at home or something like that.
They did.
Bad results, but no, they've got certain killers like Lautaro Martinez. I think he's fit. I'm not sure, but he is He's a gunman. Like he will finish if you give him the opportunity. So yeah, you definitely can't take them lightly. And as you mentioned, Sevilla, this is their competition. If you want to be serious, but we're just in a spot in their competition.
Luis Fabiano days.
I'll ask the question: Are you guys afraid of Lukaku's first touch? That's that. If we place against Inter, are you guys?
Mate, Lukaku's afraid of Lukaku's first touch. Like, nah.
Right. Let's move on. Before we actually get into Mason Greenwood, I thought just briefly touch base on this, on like what our top 4 chances are. So obviously we talked about Villa. The Europa League obviously is if we don't get top 4 is an option. But given how we've been at the end since the lockdown, I think from what I gather, we actually have the best form in the league in the last 5 games of lockdown. I don't think there's any 4 wins, one draw. Which, to be honest, we should have won, because if Pogba starts that game, I actually think we beat Spurs. I think Spurs, as you've seen against Bournemouth, are trash right now. They've got Jose. We gave them Jose, so what can we say? So,
you're welcome.
Very grateful to Spurs. But yeah, what do you guys think about, like, given the games that we have left, given the games that other teams have left? What are our top 4 chances?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident. My only worry is this week coming up, where we've got Southampton on the Monday, and then I can't remember. We've got another game on the Thursday, I think.
Palace.
So he's obviously got. Yeah, that's it. Palace away. Yeah, so he's obviously going to have to rotate. Whereas obviously for the last couple of games, he's been able to keep the same team. And obviously, I think if we're able to play the same team through the whole of the rest of the season, I think we would get it. But my only worry is now where he might have to rotate. You might have to, give Matic a rest, maybe even Martial or Bruno even. So I don't trust rotation players come in and do the job. So that's my only worry, because this team's on such a good run. They're starting 11, but I think this next week's going to be vital, because I think he's going to have to make changes. So that's my only worry. But I think Leicester are going to drop points anyway. So I think we might be okay, even if we do draw one of the games, one of the last 4 games. I still think Leicester are going to probably lose a couple, or even just one. So I'm confident, but yeah, like I said, this week is vital.
Can I just ask Sam quickly? So if we are rotating players, Southampton at home or Palace away, which game would you? And then obviously we got Chelsea on the weekend. Which game would you rotate if you had to in one of those games?
I would rotate against Southampton, like you said, because being at home, I think, even though there's no fan, I think we would be more confident to be able to rotate. But I'm not so confident in what we've got behind the current 11. Like, you know what I mean? If you took out Bruno or Pogba, then your replacement to that, even in the whole world, to be honest, even let alone our squad, is not going to live up to it. So it's going to be difficult because he's going to have to rotate. So I think he might rotate against Southampton, but we'll see.
I just saw the comment from Don Ragnar that Ole won't rotate. I've been looking at the comments, innit? I've been looking at them.
When we played Norwich,
He does not like Ole.
Solskjaer has to be given some respect. Like,
okay, let's actually address this. Because this is the comment. What has Ole got right apart from 2 world-class players, restoring the midfield, a move any manager of any money could make, take Pogba and Bruno out, Ole's back to pre-lockdown tactical greatness? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Oh, we had a manager who has won multiple Champions Leagues, multiple leagues. He had, when I say he had prime Pogba, because that was Pogba as he came from Juve. We had just won the Europa League. He was in the best mental play, wasn't thinking about leaving. He also got in Mkhitaryan. He also got in a proven Premier League goal scorer in Lukaku. He had Rashford and Martial. And we had to get rid of him. We had to get rid of him. So he said a move any manager with money could make. We had money, we had a manager, and we weren't even playing the football that we are now. So something must be different between one manager and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, Solskjaer is not the greatest coach in the world in terms of coaching players. He hasn't proven that. There's a Pep, there's Klopp, there's Nagelsmann, there's there's the Ten Hag. There's so many managers out there who's proven at the highest stage that they can coach and improve players. But what Solskjaer has done since he's been there is manage these players, because he came into a toxic environment from top to bottom in terms of Carrington, the dinner lady, as they speak about. The atmosphere was so toxic, and Ole has changed all of that around. He's got rid of the poison. I ain't talking about what Jose called poison in terms of Pogba. I'm talking about people like Lukaku, who is so insecure that he wants to call out his own teammates on social media. People like Alexis Sanchez, who tries to pick fights with our young generational talent in Mason Greenwood in training. Solskjaer's he's called out senior statesmen in Nemanja Matic and David De Gea, who dared go public and speak ill of the team, and he's reintegrated the players who he feels, or the players who are willing to buy into what he wants, the likes of Nemanja Matic, who probably 6 months ago all of us were saying he's done, he needs to go. He's reintegrated them. He's brought through the youth in terms of Brandon Williams, Scott McTominay, Mason Greenwood, and we are playing brilliant football. You have to credit a man who goes out and gets the players that he wants to play the football. You can't take that away from him, because he wanted Maguire, he wanted Wan-Bissaka, he wanted Bruno Fernandes. So we're going to discredit him when they work out. No, you credit him because he made a good decision. We bought some bad players before. Moyes wanted Fellaini, it didn't work out. We brought in Solskjaer wanted Fernandes, it worked out. I credit Solskjaer. And we get top four.
Yeah, he literally hit the nail on the head for me there and everything you said. But you know what I think is even more important, perhaps something to highlight as well, is that because for all the managers that we've had before, what we've done recently, or what we've been through recently compared to what we're doing now, is something that reminds me of when Sir Alex Ferguson went through his first transitional phase. Now, I'm not likening Solskjaer to Ferguson. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to say is that the situation they were in were pretty much similar. They came off a very successful run, and then they went wrong in the recruitment. They went wrong in what the image was. They didn't know what the direction of the club was going to be in. Back then, we bought Van Nistelrooy, Varane, all those big players who had decent effects but didn't integrate to the overall team impact. And then you remembered we brought in Alan Smith, who, although he didn't do as well as he wanted, it was a step in the right direction. Louis Saha, Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and then we started to get right again. So what Solskjaer's done, in my opinion, is take that leap, because Moyes was just a bad appointment. We can all agree that Moyes just didn't do well. But then Van Gaal, he was never going to set the world alight in terms of playing the way a Man United team was. But you don't get a better continental winner right now or at the time, than Louis Van Gaal. You don't. The man who's taken over Ajax, he took over Barcelona, took over the Dutch national team, brought in Di Maria, Radamel Falcao, Fister, Morgan, Bash, it's like a top players, but had them identify United. He could get behind, explain to fans in this, and we were trying. Solskjaer.
Your microphone's cutting in out a bit. Your microphone's cutting in out a bit.
Is it happening
now? Try just speaking. Just keep on speaking.
Yeah. Now keep talking.
It's kind of still kind of cutting in and
Every
out.
other word.
Go.
Can I just say whilst you
just make a point about Ole?
Go on.
I thought that, to draw a parallel with Sir Alex Ferguson that someone wanted to do earlier, that he took some decisions at the start which probably made his life slightly more difficult early on, getting rid of Lukaku, the goal scorer, moving on other players that maybe he thought didn't want to play for the team. So then bringing in young players that didn't have maybe earlier than he'd want to meant that quite tough early on. But those players now have benefited from 6 months of really having a lot more games under the belt than they might normally have had. And each transfer window, we've signed a player that's improved the squad. It's got Wan-Bissaka, we've got Harry Maguire, we've got Bruno Fernandes. Each one of those is an improvement on what we had already. Whereas I thought we just kept picking random players that the managers wanted that didn't really fit into a system. Whereas Wan-Bissaka, fantastic signing. Look at him and think, okay, he's a great player. I can see why Palace didn't talk him up too much because he was too good. Why? He's an improvement on what we had in defence before, and Bruno is a big improvement on what we had in midfield. And then Greenwood was always going to come through, but he's looking like a wall beater. So he could have easily stuck with Lukaku, stuck with more established pros, and got slightly better results 6 months ago, 9 months ago. But the whole long-term strategy, I think Sir Alex Ferguson did something where he got rid of McGrath, got rid of Whiteside, got rid of people that maybe like drinking too much, and changed the culture of the club. Long-term strategy. And maybe not necessarily tactical awareness, but Ole's done a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't see, which has made Pogba look a lot happier, made a lot more integration of the team, look more of a unit. They're enjoying their football. So it's a lot. It's not just state, it's all the things around it that we're not seeing. That there's been a huge improvement, and just seeing the players are enjoying going about the game.
I think that's a very good point, and I mean, just to address Don Ragnar's comment about like, Ole is just good at giving hugs. Maybe he is just good at giving hugs. But I think the big thing about that is that modern football now is not the same as football gone past. So you can be the best manager coach ever. If you lose the dressing room, it's game over. I think the Pochettino was a better coach than Ole. It's clear that in the last 6 to 8 months when he was at Spurs, he'd lost the dressing room. Jose loses the dressing room when he walks into the dressing room. But yeah, he's a better coach. So, it's yes, you have to have that tactical kind of thing. I get that's important, but I think it's also equally important that you actually are a man manager. Me, that's the reason why I don't think Zinedine Zidane is an expert coach. How could he be an expert coach just having walked into the side? But he was the excellent man manager. He could manage all those egos because he was like, listen, guys, I'm Zinedine Zidane. I know how to win. I've won things. I can manage your egos. Let's go out and win this. So not because I think that Zidane was a tactical genius or mastermind or something. So it's important to realize, the importance of that. And the other thing, and the last, that's the thing. Okay. The last,
What a comment.
Wow.
It's working. That's true. At least it's working.
Long may it continue.
Maybe we just carry on doing that then.
Absolutely.
A new manager might come in,
Brilliant.
and Pogba and Bruno can't run the session anymore. So at least someone else can run the session. He's delegating. A good manager doesn't delegate.
A good manager finds the right person.
You got to at least credit him, but even if you don't credit with Bruno or Pogba, you got to credit him with Greenwood, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably the first player in a while. I think I read somewhere where they said that Greenwood is the first United player that's actually been transitioned into the first team. Like, people forget that Rashford wasn't actually supposed to. It was only because Martial got injured. I think there was another option, and then he thrown in. Greenwood's the first one that just kind of naturally should have been brought into the side because of his ability and his coaching. And you got to give that to the coaching staff and Ole. They've been training with him. They've been telling him what to work on. It's him.
I think what Ole's done. What Ole's done is, if we got people asking what has Ole actually done, I think Ole's actually just pressed the reset button. I think he set the reset button on United. I mean, Moyes, Van Gaal, and Mourinho left a lot of rubbish back at United, and Ole's had to pick that up. He's had to see what he needs, see what he don't need. He took us back to basics. He's bringing up the youth, as G said, with Greenwood, and he's trying to do it with Ethan Laird and Garner and order. And I hope he does. And even the players he's trying to look for, like Sancho's only like 19, 20. So he's trying to bring in young players. And that's what Man United's all about for me. All the way from the Busby Babes to what Ferguson done with the class of 92. I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring Manchester United blood back into Manchester United. So he's pressed the reset button. And if he's got to hug players to do that, he's got to hug players to do that. I don't care. It's working.
Yeah. I think that's right as well. Like, can you guys hear me now? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think God was telling me you're getting a bit heated, mate. Calm down, and then just shut me off. Just kind of going on from what Tez just said there, what Ollie's done, and what I think bringing him in has done, is helped to remind everyone at the club, the players and the backroom staff, a lot of whom were there when Fergie was there. Let's not forget, he's still got McPhelan and everyone helping him out, and probably Fergie behind the scenes somehow. But they reinstated what Manchester United is actually about, how important it is to play for the club. And I don't know if you guys saw, but when Pogba had his post-match interview against Villa, he started saying, we should be going for titles. This is the start of something. This is what we want to build. And you never heard that. I wouldn't hear Lukaku saying stuff. He's like, yeah, we try and we do our best. Nah, mate, you're Man United. You're supposed to play like this. You're supposed to win. That's what we're used to. And Solskjaer is one of the best winners that the team has ever seen, and he's got some sort of coaching nous about him. But that's why Phelan, that's why Carrick, and that's why a lot of the old lads are there, just to help him along. And he, like you said, the man management has been excellent. Breeding in Greenwood in a very sustainable and developmental way was key to that. But that's because he knows exactly what it's like to be a brand new player going into a big dressing room, which Mourinho and Van Gaal either didn't know but surely didn't appreciate. And that's why a lot of the players that came in would have dreamt to have been in Greenwood's position right now, even after one COVID-ridden season. So, I think he has to be given a lot more credit than what's due, but focus on the things that you're not focusing on right now. It's not about his coaching ability. It's not about his technical ability, because, like you said, Zidane isn't anywhere near the top 3 or top 4 in the world for that, and yet he's in arguably the biggest club in the world for that, because he understands Real Madrid, he understands where he is. And that's what Solskjaer has done for us. And you can see it. You can see it on the pitch.
Fair enough. I mean, that's just effectively we sort of fast forwarded and talked and gone on to, like, is Ollie back at the wheel? I think that's what this last conversation.
Don't say that, man. Don't kind of fix it. Now we're gonna lose Southampton. Play against Crystal Palace. Lingard and Pereira can start, and we're gonna get. What have you done, man? What have you done?
Don't say the L and P words around him. They need to leave.
This is a good point, actually. Ollie played Linky and let Gomez walk out the door. That is.
Yeah.
I don't think he let Gomez walk out though.
Because I have a feeling that the board, was it him on the board? Because I have a feeling that if the board behind the scenes, if they know that players are going to sign a contract, or similar with like Herrera, that they will sort of subtly say, listen, you can't give this guy game time because he's. Is it him or is it the board?
I think it's a mixture, if I'm honest. I think Gomez is probably leaving for 2 reasons. One, he wasn't given the contract that he wanted. From what I was hearing, he wanted around 30,000 a week, which is what Greenwood's on. Greenwood has earned that, if we're talking about in terms of the hierarchy of where they are at. And also, he wanted more game time. Now, when you bring in Bruno Fernandes, are you going to get that game time? Probably not. Yes, he was behind Lingard and Pereira. I think at the start of the season, that made sense. As the season went on, I think most of us were saying, no, he should be given more time. The times when he was given, for me, he didn't do enough. But then the next week, Pereira and Lingard wouldn't do enough anyway. So it's like he couldn't do any worse. So I think Ollie has to take some percentage of the blame why Gomez felt that his future wasn't at Man United. But I also believe that if Gomez was committed to becoming the first team player at Man United, Solskjaer, he would have signed the contract and Solskjaer would have given the game time. Like Taif Chong, who also wasn't given a lot of great game time. I think Gomez for me is better than Chong, but Chong was willing to negotiate at the table, commit and prove that he wanted to stay at Man United, and Solskjaer gave him game time as a result. And now I think he might go on loan next season or whatever it may be. But I think it's just two things in terms of the contract and the game time. And it happens. It happens. I don't think Gomez is going to become another Pogba in terms of we have to buy him back in 90 million. But I hope he has a good career because he's a talented player. What can you do?
And for me, I think we've got to I think for me, we've got to trust Ole on this as well. Obviously, he could have given Gomez a chance when Pereira and Lingard weren't playing well, but he sees them every day in training, so he must know there was something missing from his game. And he obviously couldn't trust him as maybe what we thought we could. So for me, we've got to just trust Ole on this and look from the contract. We wanted him to stay. He didn't want to be here, so we move on. I mean, far bigger, better players have left, and we won the league after Ronaldo left. The best player in the world at the time. We managed to win the league a couple of years later. So we've moved on for bigger players.
Yeah, and there's also that I can imagine kind of being in Gomez's position. Whether this is true or not, I've just invented it, but it could have played a part for all I know. Is that when you're growing up and in the ranks with someone like Greenwood, and you're seeing him get the game time week in, week out, when there's probably more of a cause to get an attacking midfielder in, and you're not getting a look in, it could be quite difficult to take. But also his agent, I think, is it Zahavi? He's got one of the biggest agents as well, and I have no doubt in my mind, having worked with agents before and seeing how they think, that it would have worked quite well for him to get Gomez a big money move now, probably with a big release clause to then focus on later. So yeah, it didn't surprise me that he's gone. But yeah, I think, like you guys said, I don't think we're gonna have a Pogba situation with him. But he's a good kid, and he's worked hard to get to even where he is now, to get another contract elsewhere. So I hope him the best, so long as the best doesn't come back to hurt United. If we can get that balance right, then yeah, more power to you.
A good career at Everton.
Yeah, that's it. That's our comfort zone, really.
Don Rag with the banter again. Ollie's good. He found it hard to do how Gomez don't want to risk a back injury at Ollie's age.
Oh my god!
I love you, man. I love you.
Respect the man.
What was the other thing? So so I guess as penultimate topic, there are a few questions I want to go to, but I thought just to keep things semi on track, that we have to at least discuss the potential for this kid. Mason Greenwood, guys, turn up on the scene. He's got more goals than Firmino. I think 16 goals in all competitions now, with obviously 4 Premier League games to play and obviously Europa League, so not officially over. So he could get 20 plus goals. In fact, I think he probably will get 20 plus goals in all competitions, right? Where do we start with this guy? Like, what's his ceiling? Like, what's so impressive about him? I think I see a lot of people saying that they're more impressed about him compared to, I think, Rashford at this age, because of his composure and his ability on the ball and his power and his decision making. But I'll throw it to you guys. What do you guys think?
I think with Greenwood, the first thing everyone notices is just the way he takes his finishes. Clinical compared to Van Persie. So much power. He looks so natural. Like he's not even trying. It's such a natural goal scorer. But when we scored that amazing counter-attacking goal against Brighton, that cross, so perfect. It just made it look so effortless. And it's just every time I see him, he does the simple things well, tidy passing, not giving away possession. I think there was a moment in the Villa game where the ball was thrown to him, his first touch, beat 2 players to him, and it's not just his finishing, it's everything. I think that makes him stand out. That I'm looking for weaknesses, and I haven't found any glaring ones so far. I think he looks like a player, which is quite scary at 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you were to sit down with a piece of paper in your hand and you write, what do you want out of your perfect footballer, your perfect right winger, I think a lot of the attributes would suit Greenwood, not least because he's 2-footed. And when you're coming up against a defence, they want to know what foot to shift you onto to make you less of a threat. Greenwood's always a threat. And even the goals he scored against Bournemouth, I have no idea how he scored the second one, taking that on his right foot, right to the edge of the penalty area, smacking it across. Who does that? He just got some kind of like weird confidence about him, which comes from that sort of like, we bred him in at a good time and in a good way. But he's Man United through and through, and like you said as well, he does the simple things really, really effectively. He's not just always looking for goals, looking to get his name on the score sheet or get his name in the headlines, but he'll drop deep, he'll link up, he'll make the runs, he'll provide the space, and I just love the kid. I mean, I think he's better than Rashford, to be honest, compared to when Rashford broke out. But they are two different style players as well. I think Greenwood's just got a lot more about him, and we'd better tie him down to a long-term contract if he's not already on one. If make it longer, I don't care. Extend it longer, I don't care. Make it 10 years. I mean, Pardew had 8. He deserves 20. So let's just let him make sure he stays at the club for a long time, because I can't remember seeing a more naturally gifted academy product than Mason Greenwood in the Premier League. For me, I think he's outstanding. One of the best players we've got right now.
Yeah, I agree. Double-footed. I call him Mason Van Greenwood. I think he's just
Gunwood.
Yeah, it's just it's nice to see a good player come out at the youth academy, and I think working with Solskjaer helped. A lot of pundits say when he scores a goal, I think he scored a goal against, I can't remember who it was, but the pundit said it was reminiscent of an Ole finish. He went through the legs of the defender. So I think Ole's working with him quite one-to-one, and I think that helps. It's kind of reminiscent of, Owen with Liverpool when he was 18, how he come out of their academy and he took the world by storm. Hopefully Greenwood will be the same. Same with Rooney when he come out of Everton's young thing. As I said, it's nice to see a young English talent coming up, and it's nice to see the youngsters being given a chance again at United.
Yeah, I think it's so important that the team that Greenwood's come into, because I saw at the start, we know the talent that he had. We saw it as he was playing and starting in the Europa League, and the goals he was scoring, like against Astana, and where he's at the near post, late in the game, getting the winners, etc. But then I'll see him play in the Premier League against Everton, for example, in I think it's around December times or those other games, and it's like this guy's not ready to lead the line without Martial and Rashford around him. He's a young player, and as the Red Devil Weekly said, we can't put the pressure on him. It's your job to get us the win. What he's had now since lockdown, he's bulked up as well. He looks more of a man than he did before. He's coming to a team that's allowing him to do what he needs to do. There's no pressure. If you don't score, it doesn't matter, because Bruno's going to score, Martial's going to score, and others will chip in. But if you do score, it will help. And I think that freedom to let him just be without the pressure is why we're seeing what he is. The likes of, you even think about Rashford and Martial, when they came into the teams. When we bought Martial, we were crying for a striker that summer. We bought Martial, and all the pressure was on him. He had to be the one to get all the goals. And then Rashford, Rashford came in when we had all the injuries to Rooney and Martial against Midtjylland. And then Rashford was thrust to the limelight. He's the main man. He's going to be the one to lead us back to the promised land. Greenwood is there with Pogba, Bruno, Martial, Rashford, and hopefully Sancho, which means that he can just come in and come out. He can do what he needs to do. If he goes for a bad run of form, we can take him out. And whoever it may be, if Martial's on a bad run of form, Greenwood can come in. There's that rotation that's necessary. But in terms of his ceiling, I mean, I'm just happy to. I don't really want to project about where he could or won't go or can go, but I'm just happy to see such a talented player. As Solskjaer said months ago, the most natural finisher at the club, and I think Martial's a cold-blooded finisher. But Greenwood, from anywhere, any position on either foot, the only thing I ain't seen him really do is head the ball, but maybe he's got that in his locker as well. But yeah, he's top quality, man.
I mean, for me, sorry about that. My laptop decided to restart for some reason. But for me, the biggest compliment I can give Greenwood is that he looks like he's been in our team for years. Like, he looks like he's been a first-team player for years. Like, he's only 18. Think about what we were all doing at 18 years old. Like, do you know what I mean? It's crazy. This guy is performing every games at the moment, scoring goals, and he's 18. Like, so as you were saying, like, let's not put pressure on him. Let's just enjoy it, because not many players come around like him. So it's nice to see someone coming through the academy, and that's what United's all about. So yeah, he looks like he's become a vital part of our team now. you can't drop him. Ollie's even said that you can't drop him. So which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that an 18-year-old's become a key part of our team. But as I said, let's just enjoy it. And he's just banging goals in for fun. So left foot, right foot, doesn't matter.
Yeah, man.
Everyone had the I mean, one of the things that Richard, have you spoken? I think you spoke on Greenwood, haven't you? Has everyone spoken on Greenwood?
Yeah, I spoke first on that one.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I just want to bring up regarding Greenwood is that because there was a lot of by criticism I mean from rival fans who were saying, oh, he's just scored against relegation for the teams and stuff like that and so on. You're like, oh well, okay, that's fair enough. Although frankly, early in the season we weren't scoring against these teams. It shows the transition. But one of the things that I noticed in Green in particular is some of the goals he scored have been in actual key important moments. I remember in particular the goal he scored against, I think we were 1-0 down against Everton. And to be honest, they shot. They should have shot. And then to get that goal from outside the box, just to position it through to get it past Pickford, to get us that point, which might be a crucial point regarding the top 4 race. And even against Bournemouth, when he scored those 2 goals, he scored the equaliser. And then I think the second goal he scored was when Bournemouth started to put a bit of pressure on us because they were 3-2 up, and he scores the 4th goal. And so even the goals that he's scoring per se they're not just goals; they're goals that are coming in important games. It's not
did he score the first against Brighton as well? Did he score the first?
Was it a penalty? Wasn't it? Was it a penalty?
No, he from the left-hand side.
Yes, I think he scored.
I'm thinking of Bournemouth. Yeah, sorry.
No, I think he scored first, and he assisted the 3rd.
Yeah.
Just scores too many goals, didn't he? Really?
Important goals.
Even against Villa, because let's be frank, it's Greenwood's goal that killed the game off. So the second goal, the game is done. He sorts it. So he's not only scoring goals, but he's scoring important goals that change the dynamic of the game and obviously contribute as points. So
and also I think that especially the goals against Bournemouth, that his 2 goals he scored there, I don't think anyone else in our squad could score those goals. I don't think anyone else in that position would be able to, hit the ball so hard and so true into the net. Like the keeper, they've got a touch to both of them, I think.
Yeah.
But he couldn't keep out. So, I mean, he's just quality in there. Like I said, let's just enjoy him, and he's going to be big.
Cool. Before we begin to wrap things up, and thanks everyone obviously tuning in. Thanks everyone in the comments. There's been questions. There are a few questions that I will come back to. So I mean, here's Don Magnus' joke question, which is Pierre McKerry got never probably looks like a mix of Phil and Gary. But his actual question, which is, will Greenwood become our proper number 9 like Robin van Persie?
I like him on the right.
Yeah.
But maybe when he keeps bulking and because Martial, we've got such good hold-up play, he can bring other players in. Rashford hasn't got that, but so that's what Greenwood have to learn next: keep bulking and just learn up that work on that hold-up play. Then he could be, but for me, he's looking great off the right, so let's keep him there for now.
Well, the thing is, Van Persie, even though he was a number 9, because he had Rooney beside him as a support striker. It wasn't a 4-4-2, but it was something. He had a strike partner next to him. The way that we're playing at the moment, the number 9 has to do the job that Martial's doing, and I don't think that gets the best out of Greenwood. What we've seen so far, of course, the way he's going looks like he could develop into anything. But as it stands, I want him facing the goal. I want him going, standing a defender up like he loves to do, and them not knowing where he's going to go. I don't know if you've seen the commentary or the verbal when you heard the Bournemouth defenders telling him to show him on his left or show him on his right foot. Sorry, don't let cut inside. It doesn't
turn.
It doesn't matter. But when he's facing the defenders and standing them up, it's dangerous. So at the moment, I'm very content with him being out there. But if we can get another quality forward, obviously the name is Jadon Sancho, then it allows all of them to play in the multiple positions, because Sancho can play on the right and the left, Greenwood can play on the right and through the middle, Martial can play through the middle on the left, and Rashford can play on the left and through the middle, even though not as a lone striker, but he can play through the middle. So it allows them to just be, develop as players in multiple positions.
Anyone have any more comments on that before we move to the next question? No, okay. There was another question here. Oh yeah, it's also from Dog Nagner. Will Gomez become a star at Barcelona or Italian giant like Juventus? Guess will, could.
Who's even in for him? I don't even know who's going to sign him. I heard Chelsea, but I haven't really heard many rumours of who's even going to sign him. Yeah, maybe Paris. Yeah, but he would probably do well for Paris in the French in Ligue 1, but I'm not sure if he'll go to Barcelona or Juventus.
There's so many. I think there's too many variables here to consider when we ask that question, because even when Pogba left to go to Juventus, I don't think anyone really thought that he was going to lead France to a World Cup by the time that he left Juventus. Everyone thought he was going to be good, but then does his development get as well as at Juventus as it did without Pirlo, without Matuidi, or without those people to guide him? So if Gomez can go to a Paris and gets, I don't know, tutored by one of those lads, then maybe. But the Serie A Ligue 1 is probably where he's going to suit, where it's probably not going to suit as well. But like a Latin sort of a league like Barcelona or Real Madrid or one of those, or Atletico, one of those types of teams where he can be a bit more free in the attacking areas, then maybe. But it's too soon to tell, and I don't want to say much in case I like shoot myself in the foot.
We'll clip that one for later.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot of British players are going to Germany. We know that Jude Bellingham looks like he's going to be going to Dortmund. We know Sancho, Reece Nelson, they all went over there as well. So, I mean, it's a possibility. It's just as you said, it's very hard to tell. You haven't even heard, other than Chelsea, you haven't even heard of any other club linked for him. And I can't see him going Chelsea. If his aim is game time, Chelsea right now is the place, because Mount's already there. He sees Lampard likes to, and I'm not saying that these people are better, but he likes Mount. He seems like he likes Barkley. It looks like they're going to be buying Kai Havertz. They've got Ziyech.
Even Gilmore, Billy Gilmore starting to get
plays. But then you've got obviously Kovacic is there as well. He's got Ziyech, who they've bought, who he plays off the right, playing the number 10. If you're talking about on game time, I can't see Chelsea being the right place now. We know Chelsea's got a lot of links when it comes to young players, so they could purchase him and send him out on loan. But, I mean, we could have done that. So is that what he wants? I don't know. I'll be surprised right now if he went to Chelsea. If game time is... Maybe he just wanted 30 grand a week and Chelsea's willing to give him that. I don't know.
We've got one last question. We'll keep your questions coming. Well, I guess we'll start to wrap things up. Who would you look to replace Matic with once he starts to decline, or do you think he has a few good years left in him? Richard, what's your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was on a decline a month ago, 2 months ago, and now he looks suddenly like he's got a few years left in him. I'm not sure, because quite a long time ago I kept thinking that Paul Scholes and Giggs were on their last year, and they seem to keep going on and on and on. So I'm not sure with whether they become a bit more of a squad player and they'll bring something gradually in terms of replacement. I don't know. We're going to have back midfielders at the moment. We're probably looking to improve the squad, I think, in terms of Lingard and Pereira. Maybe those players have an opportunity but might be moved on. I'm not really sure actually who to go for.
I mean, there's been talk, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Solskjaer's already speaking about trying to mold McTominay to that position. Right now, he can't do that. Well, we've seen that he doesn't have that ability. But in a year and a half or 2 years, it's possible that he could. Talking about, let's say we need to get someone in this summer. I think the name Declan Rice, that's been touted around as well. I'm not a massive fan of Declan Rice personally, but then I haven't seen a huge amount, so it's a bit difficult for me to say. But he's not in the class of Matic. You know, there's players in La Liga like Thomas Partey. There's Wilfred Ndidi, obviously at Leicester. Those players could do a very good job in that position. But yeah, in terms of what we're gonna do, I think the aim right now is to use McTominay and mold him into that position. Hopefully, Matic can hold out for another 2 years. To see what they can do.
I think that's one of the reasons why he's being given a contract, because there isn't many other options out there. I like Ndidi, but if you compare him to Matic is so good at travelling with the ball, and he's got a good passing range, and Ndidi hasn't got that. But Ndidi's still young, so he could develop that. But like I said, I think one of the reasons why we give him a contract is because there's not many options out there, and I think McTominay, like you said, might develop, but yeah, I think we've got to stick with Matic for a bit. But I haven't got a clue who we're going to replace him with. That's one of the maybe challenges for next summer. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, because I think there's two ways that it can play out, which is what you've just said there, mate. But I don't think in my ideal scenario, I think that Matic has been given that contract to see out his best years at United, either to be included in the setup when he's there, or to pass on some of his experience onto someone to take it on more of a long-term role. And I personally, if I had to pick one player that we could go for, quite a realistic target, I'd go for Donny van de Beek from Ajax. I think he is the perfect player to have in that Matic type role, that deep lying playmaker role, especially in this direction that we're going in. I think if we can pass on some of those characteristics that Matic has onto someone with the more forward-playing skill set of Van de Beek, then we've got a pretty star-studded midfield trio to go forward. And
that's what I was going to say, but is
he defensive enough?
Yeah, it seems more of a central mid or attacking. Not that he couldn't do it, but is that his best position?
It's not his best, but I think since De Jong has left Ajax, he's had to take up a lot of the berth that De Jong has left. And when he's played in that role, I personally think he hasn't done too badly. And I don't think they've done where they are in the league, because they're losing Ziyech, they're losing De Jong and De Ligt, and yet Van de Beek has somehow managed to pull that midfield together from that further back position. So I think either way, he's got the vision and the skill set to do the forward play. To go back and to do all the defensive stuff might need a bit of work. But I mean, Matic needed a bit of work when he got brought in as well, and he took to that role a bit better. So I think if we're going to go for someone long term, a 24-year-old Donny van de Beek who wants to leave Ajax is probably the better option out there for us if we had to go for one.
Is that Tez? Have you spoken about it?
I just think Matic has been given the contract to, as the other people said, see out his contract, and I think it's just a matter of McTominay works with him, stands and watches him how he plays, and I think it's just pass the baton. That's Solskjaer's thinking. I think that's my view.
Don Ragnar really going in on
yeah, he's I love you, Don, man. Seriously, always make me laugh at these streams. So it's so great. But, I mean, I do think there are better players in that position than Declan Rice. I think that's a reasonable statement to say. I don't think Declan Rice is a bad player, but there is better there. Personally for me, if Leicester don't get Champions League and they're happy to negotiate as a Nigerian, I would love Wilfred Ndidi to play for Manchester United. So I thought he's, I think he's actually had quite. I know Leicester have slumped, but I don't necessarily think it's his fault. And I just think that I don't know. For me, he's possibly one of the missing links. Although Matic obviously has been playing really well, I think he would definitely try easily. And I don't. Partey would be okay, but it looks like is he going to Arsenal?
That's strong rumors about Arsenal.
What, sorry?
I said the strong rumors are Arsenal. Obviously, he wants to play Europa League football, but
I think even going to get that. I don't think they're even going to get.
I mean, Arsenal have got a track record of buying the player that they want, haven't they? It's not as if they'd lose out at the last minute or anything. So, surely.
I got a question actually for you, Red Devil Studio. Nigerian. So who do you want Saka to play for, England or Nigeria?
Oh, dear.
Just say it with your chest, innit? I'm not.
My head says England. My heart says Nigeria.
Say it with your chest, because I know me. I wanted Raheem Sterling to play for Jamaica, and I'm not scared to say it. He let me down. He let me down.
No, my heart does stay in Nigeria. The thing about the thing is, and watching Liverpool play is that the issue is that it's more like England, the player, and that like the Nigerian Federation, the football club, like is a joke at times. Like, so even though I want him to play, I know that like a lot of the selection at times is based on like favorites and who you know and stuff like that. It's not based on. So even if Saka did decide, I'm not even 100% confident that like he'd actually be picked or he'd be played in the position that he's good at. You know, because we have that kind of like thing around us. You know, so yeah, I would want him to, but the chances are he's probably going to play for England, isn't he? So
the reason why I asked, no, it's a good point you make. I was down at Wembley last season when Leyton Orient were playing. I can't remember who was in the Cup finals. And I was talking to what's the guy's name? Joby McAnuff. I think he used to play for Reading, did he? But he used to play for obviously Jamaica as well. And I was asking like, why are we not getting the British players who are of Jamaican origin playing like we did like for the '98 World Cup and all that? And he didn't talk about the favoritism part, but he was talking about things like facilities. He was like, we'll go for training and we're using the light from the stadium to train in the grass area outside the stadium. And we're having to pay for our own travel and that kind of thing. And it's like, when I look at it like that, I don't blame those players for not doing that, because like I'm a big fan playing for Man City and you want me to train on the country grass and bring my own refreshments and water bottle. Like, I don't know, it's a mess. It's a mess. But you know, as a fan, I would love to see Jamaica get back to the World Cup. And we've got players like Sterling, who we could have had, Danny Simpson. Obviously, we've got Wes Morgan, Premier League winner. So we had a good quality of crop of players. If they chose Jamaica, we could do something. But I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all.
Yeah, India don't have that. Bring Michael Chopra back. That's all we need.
We have the Leicester kids. They said he declared to play for India. Chowdhury? Isn't Chowdhury is? I've read he declared to play for India. I think.
Give him the armband and let's get something going.
This is the last one, but Ole probably still plots to move for Longstaff. Can we have a anyone here want Sean Longstaff?
No.
No.
Give me Matty.
Easy.
I actually love Matty because he scores against us all the time. I don't like Matty, so like fair enough. But Sean, I mean, let's be real.
No.
Cool. Oh, I've got a few. Oh, congrats on 2K. Congrats on 2K. Thanks, guys. I'll be doing something later. Thank you so much for when you were subscribing as well. I appreciate it. So I'll be probably posting some sort of a video about that like later. So, but yeah, that's a wrap, guys. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed it. We had a nice conversation about United. Thanks to everyone in the comments. Hopefully we can do something like this. I don't think it's like a community thing. Maybe like once a month or something. We just get together and review where this football club is going. And fingers crossed, next month we've got top 4 secured, maybe a potential trophy under our belt, and take it from there. Shout out in the comments, guys. Thank you guys so much for getting involved. Georgia, Don Ragnar, of course, and everyone that got the questions in. And thanks to everyone on the show, you guys. Remember to check their channels out, guys. The links are in the description. Please go into the link description, go over there, subscribe, and support these fellow United fans, because we want their channels to grow and thrive, and as we want United to grow and thrive. Have a nice day, everyone.